Hello guys, hope you're doing good. Just in case you're asking, I'm also doing good. In today's session, we'll be covering MCA amendments. MCA on 24th July has given some amendments which are related to Ind AS. So that we'll be covering in today's session. Not many amendments, only few are there. We'll see one by one what are those. Okay. First, as I told you, these amendments will be applicable from 1st April 2020 onwards, okay, except leases wherein some extra provision is given. Otherwise, generally, these amendments are applicable from 1st April 2020. So that means for January 21 examinations, those guys who are writing their paper in Jan, is this relevant? Ideally, it should not be. It should be tested from May 21 or 2021 onwards, but just to be on the safer side, it's better to quickly run through it. Okay, just to be on the safer side, because there have been instances in the past where such things have happened. So just to be on the safer side, better to go through according to me. All right. The first thing is first amendment is with respect to Ind AS 1, presentation of financial statements, or Ind AS 8. Okay, it relates to both. The first amendment is with respect to materiality or material. There's a definition of material which has been tweaked, or they have made some changes to the definition material. Earlier, what do we mean by the term, or what do we mean by the term material? We say something is material if it influences or it affects the decision-making powers of the users of financial statements. Yes, that was the general definition. So here they brought in certain additional component. In fact, one particular component has been added to the definition. That's all we'll have to go through here, with respect to this. So the term material, or the revised definition of the material, is material or information is material, or information is said to be material if omitting it, meaning skipping it altogether, or misstating it, meaning showing it incorrectly, or important term, obscuring. This obscuring is the term which has been inserted into the definition now. So again, I'll repeat that. Information is said to be material if omitting it, misstating it, or obscuring it affects the primary users of financial statement, affects the decision making of the primary users of financial statements. Primary users will be your shareholders. Okay. So so that means this is the only component. The word obscuring is the one term which has been inserted into the definition. Rest everything is just the same. Alright. So we didn't understand what do we mean by obscuring. Let's look at that. We can say information is obscured, or obscuring information means, or when does the term, when does the information become obscured? One, when the language used is vague or unclear. That means, sir, now we are conducting class. First 1 minute I will speak in English. Next minute I will speak in Kannada. Next minute I will speak in Tamil. Next Telugu. Next Punjabi. Like this, I'll go on keeping on changing the languages. Will you understand? General public though will say, this guy is nutcase only. Yeah, we'll stop the video right now. Yes. That's what we mean by language used is vague or unclear. Like if there is any grammatical error, see, if in financial statements you need to explain few components. So if the grammatical framing of the sentences are incorrect, or if you have used the wrong words, alright. So if the language used is unclear, then we say information is obscured. Okay, that is first term, or that's when the first reason when information gets obscured. Second one, information is scattered throughout financial statements. You're put in like various places, like our classes now. If you just check our classes, right now we have stacked it properly. Yes, day one, this, or if you say, let's say we are talking about business combination, you will see that like there are about 13 or 14 videos. We say part 1, part 2, part 3, like that it goes on till part 14. Yes, so it's been nicely arranged. But if we don't write anything, we just dump all the videos. We give the heading as business combination. Under that, we dump all the 14 videos. We don't call it video 1, video 2, nothing. We just say video and put 14 videos together. Will you make sense out of it? It'll feel like pulling your hair. Yes or no? Correct? Because you'll know you played one video and you got to know that is actually part 4. Yes. So that's what happens. If information in financial statement is scattered, or if financial information is scattered throughout your annual report, all right. Then if we say information has become obscure, meaning it will prevent the users of financial statements to make the relevant decision. Okay, all the relevant information has to be shown at a particular place. Okay, or there has to be a proper connection between them. You can't just put bits and pieces all over the annual report and expect the users to figure it out. Okay, so that's second component or second criteria under which information is said to be obscure. Third one, inappropriately disaggregated. Aggregation means adding up. Now, tangible asset ka one component, intangible asset ka one component, company added and showed it together. Like a license, plant and machinery, they added, one company added these both, machinery and license, and showed it together. Is it appropriate aggregation? Is it appropriate totally? Is plant and machinery same as a license? No, they have different characteristics. They are different class of assets. Can you aggregate them? No. So this is what we mean by inappropriately disaggregated. Like if you have 100 calculators, will you show all the 100 calculators separately? No, you will total them up. You will aggregate them and showing together because they belong to the same class. Okay. So that's what we mean by inappropriately disaggregated. So under these circumstances, information has become obscured. If information is obscured, then we say it has become like it comes under the materiality definition. Okay. So again, just to retrace what we have done, information is said to be material when omitting it or misstating it or obscuring it will affect the decision making of the primary users of financial statements. The only key component here is obscuring. And when does the information become obscure? One, when the language used is vague or it is unclear, or information is scattered throughout the financial statements or annual report, or when you do inappropriate disaggregation or inappropriate aggregation if you do. Alright, so that's when we say information has become obscured. This is the only change with respect to or amendment with respect to the material definition as such. Okay, as a consequence, there are few standards which take the help of the term material, so they also get affected as such. Like if you remember non-adjusting events. Non-adjusting events, do we give accounting impact? Do we give any journal entry or accounting impact, or it is just disclosed? We just disclose non-adjusting events provided if they are material. Alright, so now this term or this definition you will use to call out the term material. Okay, so whenever they give case study which affects the term material, you will have to just use this definition. So theory based or case study based question don't see practical application as such. Okay, a simple amendment with respect to Ind AS 1 as such. Easy? Believe it's okay for all of us? Alright, the second most important, or probably if I have to call, this is kind of important amendments which has come with respect to Ind AS 103 business combination. There are a couple of things they brought in with respect to Ind AS 103. One, they have tweaked or they brought some changes to the definition of the term business. They've changed the definition of the term business. One is that. Second one, they brought in a new component known as concentration test or optional concentration test, you could say. Alright, because that test is optional, it's not mandatory. So one is they've defined the business, they've given a new definition of business. Another one, they've given something known as concentration test. Okay, these are the things or these are the things that has come under the term Ind AS 103 business combination. Let's look at that one by one. First is the definition of the term business. What do we mean by business? Business is an integrated set of activities and assets which is capable of being conducted in a manner to provide goods or service to the customer. This term was not there in the previous definition. Previous definition was business. Previously, if you remember, as part of a regular class, we had discussed business is integrated set of activities and assets capable of generating in a manner to provide return in the form of dividends, other income, etc., to the owners of the company was the definition. Or even cost saving was considered as a return itself. Okay, so the term goods and service was not there, that they have inserted. Right. So it is being conducted in a manner to provide goods or service to the customer or to generate investment income like dividend or interest or any other income from ordinary activities. This is the revised definition of business. If you have to compare it with the old one, what does it change? One, the term providing goods and service was not there in the old definition, and you refer to the old definition, there was something known as cost saving that was there, that they have taken it off. These are the two changes which has happened in the term business. Okay, so you might get a case study to call out whether it is a business acquisition or an asset acquisition. There you have to call out the definition of the term business. So here in such case study questions, you will call out this revised definition of business going forward. Okay, that's the reason we have given the exact definition itself. I brought in the charts. All right. So this is the term business. If you'll have to repeat, what is that? Business is an integrated set of activities and assets being conducted in a manner to provide either goods or service to the customer, or investment income like dividend or interest, or generating income from any other income from ordinary activities as such. Okay, this is the first thing. Second one, if you look at the elements of business was there before also, and we have covered this as part of our regular course. There are three elements of business. One is inputs, another one is process, plus either output should be there, or capability or capacity to generate the output or ability to create output should be there. So if these three components are there, then we say, or these three components put together, we are what we call it as elements of business. Fine. Now what has happened? This was there before also, no sir. What is the change, you may ask? Okay, here if you just check, I have not written just process. If you just check, I have written what? Substantive process. If you check old chart, I had written, in fact, significant activities we had called it, or significant process I had written. Okay, here they've just written something known as not just process, I've written substantive process. So if you want to call something as a business, the process has to be substantive. When the process becomes substantive was not very clear in the old definition. There was some ambiguity or a lot of judgment was required. You could take different sides. So now they have tried to fine tune that, and they've tried to define when does the process become substantive, so that it will help us to decode whether an asset, when acquisition is an asset acquisition or is it a business acquisition. Okay, so this is what they have done. So you may ask, so why all this headaches, sir? Why are you discussing definition? We can only mug up. No, or tell us logic why they actually brought in this. Okay, if you're thinking why did they actually bring in, let's maybe take up a small example so that you'll probably have a little more clarity as to why they went and did so much of efforts there. Let's say there is Ola, company Ola. We'll call this as case 1. We'll write another one as, we'll take it as Ola, and we'll write here as case 2. We'll take up two cases. Under case 1, Ola purchased 1,000 cab rental company. Yes, cab service company. They purchased 1,000 Tata Nano cars. They purchased 1,000 Nano cars from Tata Limited, Tata Motors. They directly approached Tata Motors and this company Ola. They purchased 1,000 Nano cars to run their services. Okay, for cab rental services, they purchased these cars. Now the question I'm asking to you guys is this transaction a business acquisition or is it an asset acquisition? Did Ola Limited acquire the business of Tata Motors, or they just purchased cars? Is it business acquisition or is it asset acquisition? Naturally, most of you will say, sir, what nonsense is this? This looks plain case of what? Asset acquisition, correct? Because we just went to Tata and purchased cars. Tata Motors sells cars. So Ola has purchased about 1,000 Nano cars. This is not a big deal as such. This clearly looks like it is an asset acquisition only. Yeah, there's no problem with that. Yes. Now let's come slightly for the case 2. Case 2. Same Ola Limited. Now they purchased 1,000 Nano cars. They purchased same 1,000 Nano cars from a company known as Taxi for Sure. Previously there used to be this company known as Taxi for Sure. Alright. So Ola Limited purchased 1,000 Nano cars from this company known as Taxi for Sure. And Taxi for Sure has only 1,000 cars with it. Taxi for Sure was doing its business. They were doing a cab rental service using only this 1,000 cars. And all this 1,000 cars has been acquired by Ola now. Now can you tell me whether this is an asset acquisition or is it a business acquisition? There looks to be a little dicey. Yes, in the previous example we could conclude easily, hey, this is asset acquisition. But here there's a slight doubt. Oh, it looks like asset acquisition, but it also could be business acquisition, because this company Taxi for Sure had only 1,000 cars. An entire 1,000 cars has been acquired by Ola. Okay, now is this an asset acquisition or no business acquisition? So there were some deals like this where some confusion was there, whether it is really an asset acquisition or a business acquisition. Because only if it is a business acquisition, you can apply Ind AS 103 business combination ka aspects. If it is asset acquisition, you can't apply this standard. If it is asset acquisition, you will apply respective asset ka standard. If you have acquired PPE, then you will apply Ind AS 16 PPE ka standard. If you have acquired intangible assets, then you will apply Ind AS 38. If you have acquired investment property, you will apply Ind AS 40. Like this, whatever standard is applicable for those assets, you apply. Yes. So hence it is very important for us to conclude whether an acquisition or a transaction is a asset acquisition transaction or a business acquisition transaction. So some deals there are some confusions. Okay. So to set out those confusions, all right, there was a need for the refinement of the term business. Okay, there was some extra clarity was required. Hence they brought in this now. Okay. Now they defined when can the process become substantive. I'll not give an answer for this now. Okay, we'll not test all this for now. We will discuss the definition. Okay, when does the process become substantive? Then automatically you yourself can conclude whether the example that I gave is an asset acquisition or a business acquisition. Some of you have already got the answer, but like here we'll have to prove that answer with the new refined definitions or refined things. Okay, so that is the need for the tweak. Okay, or need for that change with respect to business combination, and that's what they have done. Okay, with respect to this. All right, this is easy. All this was there, just the business definition got not changed as such. Now, this is the most important part of Ind AS 103 business combination. I told you there are two things that are changed with respect to Ind AS 103. One is business ka, the term business ka definition has been changed. Another one, something known as concentration test. One extra test has been introduced. The name of that test is concentration test, and this test is totally optional, sir. Companies can decide whether they want to take up this test or they don't want to take up this test. Okay, that is absolutely their choice. Okay, first we will run through. Okay, then we will try to understand in the detail what is it, how does it work, and all that stuff. And we'll also solve one question with respect to this also, so that numerically we'll be able to understand. Theoretically, no matter how much you try to explain, one question with number if you take, no, our understanding will get lot better. So we'll take up one question. First, let's run through what they've given. Okay, all this contents has been updated in new study material. Okay, I've taken all this contents from the new study material itself. All right, but I've just made some changes. I've written in a way which I feel is comfortable. Okay, for the students to prepare in the last day. Okay, so I've made the charts like this for that. But contents are all the same from the new study material itself. Okay, one. Optional concentration test they're saying. As I said, it's optional. First, check whether organization has taken this concentration test or they have not taken this concentration test, because it is totally optional. Let's say one company has taken the concentration test. They took up this test and the test passed. Test means there are result now, obviously. Test ka result will be what? Either pass or fail. Yes. So one company undertook optional concentration test and the test ka result was that it passed. If the company takes up concentration test and if the test result is pass, then straight away it is asset acquisition. I'll repeat that. If company takes optional concentration test and if the test ka result is pass, then it is not a business acquisition, it is straight away asset acquisition. What happened here is practical expedient. They've given a shortcut, sir. Okay, what they're saying is, see, to find out whether acquisition is business, you have to break your head about inputs, you have to break your head about process, you have to break your head about output, you have to check all these parameters and then only conclude whether a transaction is a business acquisition or is an asset acquisition. Correct? Now, IFRS they've brought in a shortcut. What they're saying is, we will give you one test. Check whether do that test if you want. If the test ka result is pass, you don't have to check input, you don't have to check process, you don't have to check output, nothing. Leave all that input, output and all out. That is not required. If the test ka result is pass means, then straight away it is asset acquisition. You don't have to break your head at all about other things. Okay, this is a shortcut. Optional concentration test. Okay. Okay. So if I have to proceed with that, now, sir, can you elaborate what is this optional concentration test? It's simple, sir. If you just check the end point, what is the end point of this optional concentration test? If it is passed, means it is asset acquisition. What we are trying to say is, see, if you want to buy a business, you have to pay money, you have to pay consideration. If majority of the consideration that you are paying is towards the asset, if it is towards a single asset, or if it's towards one class of asset, then essentially you are not taken up a business, you have purchased a asset itself. I think you have not got it. Just to be sure, I will just put up a small example here. Okay, let's continue maybe with the Ola example only better. Now Ola, we said what? Ola took up 1,000 cars from Taxi for Sure. Yeah, let's continue this example only so that we'll have a little more clarity. Let's say car ka value, this Taxi for Sure from Taxi, let's say Ola purchased, or I'll just modify this example, Ola purchased 100% stake of Taxi for Sure. They purchased 100% of shares of Taxi for Sure by paying 10 crore rupees. And I'll write it off here. Ola purchased 100% stake in Taxi for Sure for 10 crore rupees, 10 crore cash. They paid 10 crore cash and they for 100% stake in that company. They purchased off like that. Now we are trying to test whether this transaction, is it an asset acquisition or is it a business acquisition? That is what we are trying to do. But we are not trying to conclude as asset acquisition or business acquisition through the normal mode. Normal mode meaning input, process, output and all. We are not checking those input processes. We are trying to check whether this is asset acquisition or business acquisition with the help of the concentration test. That's what we are trying to prove. Okay. Now let's look at it here. Let's say Taxi for Sure has, that particular company, Taxi for Sure, has the following assets. They have following assets in their balance sheet. They have obviously 1,000 cars. Or let's make this consideration as 10.8 crore, just for little, make it a little interesting. Let's say the worth of this 1,000 cars shown is about 10 crore rupees. Taxi for Sure, or if you want, I can write like this only, assets or Taxi for Sure assets, that company ka assets. Okay, so that company has about 1,000 cars. The value of that car is about 10 crore rupees. Let's say they have some licenses also. They have some license. Let's say license is about 30 lakh rupees, or make it as 50 lakh rupees. Okay. Let's say they have a furniture of about 20 lakh rupees. So this, for simplicity purpose, I'm assuming that Taxi for Sure does not have any liabilities. They have only these three assets, just for simplicity, just for the example purpose. Okay. So that means what is the total assets? Total will be, can I say 10.7 crores? 10.7 crores is the total assets of Taxi for Sure. Okay. 100% stake was purchased for 10.8, or if you want, you can make it as 11 crore for easier calculation purpose. That's it. 11 crore rupees cash. Okay. So now just check this. Now 11 crore rupees was paid by Ola to the company Taxi for Sure to purchase 100% stake. Now what are we trying to say is, what are we trying to prove is, check, the keyword here is consideration is how much? Consideration is 11 crore rupees. You just check, out of this total consideration, majority of the consideration is towards what, sir? It is towards car, isn't it? No? Yes, is it not? Check, what is the value of the 1,000 cars? What is the value of 1,000 cars we have written? 10 crore. Can you tell me in percentage, what percentage of 10 crore constitutes 11 crores? Or if you like this, 10 crore divided by 11 crore into 100, if you do, how much it will be? 10 divided by 11, it will be 91% roughly. 91%. Means of the consideration paid, 90% of the consideration is concentrated, or it is towards what? It is towards a single class of asset. I'm not saying single asset because we have 1,000 cars here. All the cars have similar features. Yes. So it is concentrated towards single group of asset. Hence, without even bothering about input, process, output, we can straight away conclude, therefore, this is an asset acquisition and not a business acquisition. Do we understand that? Or once more? Just for sure benefit, can I repeat it once? The total assets of Taxi for Sure was about 10.7 crores. How much consideration was paid? 11 crores. Of the consideration paid, 11 crore, check. Of this 11 crore consideration, 10 crore is towards car itself. So if you calculate that percentage, 10 crore, the value of the car, divided by 11 crore, which is the total consideration. If you calculate that percentage is almost what? 91%, meaning it is significant. So if the value of the asset is significantly equal to, or if substantially equal to single class of asset or a single asset, if its value equal to that, then without even bothering about input, process, output, straight away we can say this is asset acquisition. That is how concentration test works. Okay? Yes, that's what I've written here. If concentration test is passed, then it becomes asset acquisition. If you want another example just to strengthen our understanding, let's modify this example slightly. Same, this is same, okay? Consideration is still 11 crores only. 100% stake value, 100% stake consideration is still 11 crores only. Or let's modify it as and make it as 30. But yeah, 1 minute, hang on, let me just construct it. I'll write some assets, hang on 1 minute. Let's say the value of 1,000 cars is about 10 crore. Let's say this is about 30 crore. Let's say they have building and all worth, will be odd. 1 minute. Just write it like this. This company, Taxi for Sure, has about 1,000 cars whose value is 10 crore. They have other assets, many. They have other more than 1,000 assets they have. Let's say the value of that is, all the assets put together is 40 crore. Okay, individually I'm not looking at the value. Let's say other assets ka value is about 40 crores. Okay, so that means the total is how much? 50 crores. This is okay. Now check. How much is the total consideration paid? Let's make this total consideration also to be maybe a little more. Okay, 40 crore will make it. Total consideration paid, let's say there is some liability also, which I'm ignoring just for the simplicity sake. Okay, for 100% stake they paid about 40 crores. Now calculate the same thing. Okay, 1, check if the consideration paid is concentrated on a single group of assets, single class of assets. Other assets there are many thousands of assets. Let's not bother about that. We are trying to test only with the cars here. Okay, check what percentage of consideration paid is towards a single class of assets. Calculate the percentage again. The value of the cars is about 10 crores. Total consideration paid is about 40 crore. If you calculate this, I think this is 25%. Yes. This is 25%. Yes. This is not significant. So how can we say it is significant or not? Sir, in our study material, they've given an illustration and they've taken 90% as a significant. So and only one question is there in our revised study material. So for the time being, we'll run with, if this percentage is 90 or more, then we say consideration is concentrated on a single asset. Otherwise, no. Okay. We have to have a little more clarity because they have not defined what is significant or substantial there. But in our study material, they have taken it as what? 90% to be significant. Hence, I am running with the same flow here. Okay. Hence, since this percentage is nowhere close to 90, rather it is just 25%, it is not asset acquisition. Matlab, it fails concentration test. I can't say it is not an asset acquisition. I say it fails concentration test. If concentration test has to pass, then this percentage has to be 90 or more. as per the study material ka solution. I mean, one illustration as such. Okay, that is the pointer. Is this okay, everyone? All right. Now, how do we calculate this consideration, or what and all should be considered, or what is the exact definition? Look at this. I've written this. In fact, I didn't go through this now. We'll go through this now. When do you say concentration test is passed is the next question. You took up concentration test. When can you say that it is passed? I told you in layman term, percentage, check if it is 90 or more, right? But what and all should be considered to find that value? To find this asset value, what and all should be considered? To find this consideration value, what and all has to be considered? They have given some extra pointers. Let's take that, or let's read this first. We say concentration test is passed if, and these words are very important, guys, pay a little more attention to this. If fair value of gross assets, it is not net assets, mind you, the fair value of gross assets acquired, if it is concentrated, if the fair value of gross assets acquired, if it is concentrated, meaning if it is more or less equal to or substantially equal to what? If is value equal to single identifiable, is concentrated in a single identifiable asset or similar or a group of similar identifiable asset. If the value of gross assets acquired, if it is concentrated, meaning if it is equal to value of single group of asset or value of single identifiable asset or value of group of similar identifiable asset. If this is passed, okay, if this is the structure, then we say concentration test is passed. And if concentration test is passed, then we say it is an asset acquisition. Okay, is this definition okay for you? So what is gross assets? How to calculate gross assets? There is a format, there is a particular way. Okay, simple thing you require, sir. Only two things you need to check with respect to concentration test. Okay, one, you require fair value of gross assets. Mind you, this is not net assets, the keyword is gross assets. One, you have to find out the fair value of gross assets. Two, you have to find out something known as single identifiable asset or a group of similar identifiable asset. Okay, check if the fair value of consideration or fair value of gross assets acquired, if it is more or less equal to, meaning the value is equal to 90% of a single identifiable asset or group of similar identifiable asset. If that percentage is 90 or more, then we say test is passed. Then automatically, without even bothering about input, process, output, we straight away conclude that it is an asset acquisition. Okay, next, how do we calculate the gross assets? That we have given in the next chart. How do we calculate fair value of gross assets? One, sir, simple thing. See here in our example, Ola Limited purchased 100% stake. That means they are purchasing 100% equity shares of Taxi for sure. When you purchase equity share, what does the shareholder get, sir? We are not talking about dividend here. Through equity, what is the right of equity? Equity is an instrument that gives what? Residual interest in the assets of the company after deducting all the liabilities. Or equity is an instrument that gives the right over net assets of the company. Yes? If you buy any company equity shares, let's say a particular company has 100 rupees assets. Total assets of the company is 100 rupees. Let's say this company has a liability, that same company has a liability of, let's say 70 rupees. First, out of this, if the company goes into liquidation, they'll sell off all the assets, correct? With that realized amount, they're going to pay off all the liabilities. After settling all the liabilities, if any money still remains, correct? That's what we call it as what? Net assets, assets minus liabilities, net assets. This 30 rupees, who has a right over this 30? Equity shareholders have a right over this 30 rupees. Okay, that's what equity instrument gives you. All right. Now, this is the first thing. How to calculate fair value of gross assets? Is first you have to consider fair value of consideration transferred. Whenever you buy, or we will read this out one. First, you have to consider fair value of consideration transferred. To buy any stake in any company, you have to give some consideration, which you used to call it as purchase consideration. Yes. Find out the fair value of consideration transferred. Add fair value of existing investment. We have done step acquisition. Remember, a company had a 10% stake in another company before. Now they purchased another 60% stake. Earlier they had 10%. With the 10% you don't get control. After 1 year or so they purchased another 60%. So initial 10% stake plus 60% stake makes the total stake to be 70. with 70% easily you can control. Then you start the consolidation process. Yes, we say now we got the control of over the other company. So if you have any existing investment, take the fair value of the existing investment also. Then if you have not purchased 100%, then there will be non-controlling interest also, NCI. Take the fair value of NCI. If you add all of this, it's the same as goodwill recognition. You used to calculate goodwill or bargain purchase gain. Yes, no, sir. It's the same thing. If you add all this, correct? When you used to calculate goodwill or bargain purchase gain, what you used to do? You used to take all these three, you used to compare it with net assets. Correct? No. You used to take this, compare it with the net assets, and balance you used to call it as goodwill or bargain purchase gain. We are not trying to calculate goodwill or bargain purchase gain here. We are trying to find out whether concentration test is passed. For that, we are finding out the fair value of gross assets. Okay. First, find out the consideration paid. Consideration paid could include consideration paid now, if plus the fair value of existing investment if you have had any before, plus fair value of non-controlling interest. These three you add if applicable. NCI is applicable means take it. These three you add. Okay. Now, when you buy the stake, sir, you get interest in what? When you buy any company equity shares, just now we concluded that we get what? When you buy any company equity shares, you get right over net assets. Correct? But does the concentration test use the term net assets or it uses the term gross assets? It uses the term gross assets. So that means for our calculation concentration test, should we take 30 which is net assets or 100 which is gross assets? Correct? Now from asset, if you deduct liabilities, then only you will get net assets. That means this asset is nothing but gross assets. Yes, no. From gross assets, if you deduct liabilities, you get net assets. The consideration that you paid is for the net assets, but we want gross assets. So what do? A liability has already been deducted to get net assets, but now we want, they have given 30, they have given 70. How do you find gross assets? Take net assets, to that you add liabilities. That's what we call it as here, liabilities assumed. Add a fair value of the liabilities. So if you add this to this 30, if you add 70, you're going to get 100. Yes or no? That is nothing but what? Gross assets as such in our example. Here in format we have a couple of more. That's the logic of adding fair value of liabilities. But bookish adjustments like deferred tax assets, deferred tax liability should be excluded. So meaning excluding deferred tax liability. So this is, you have done all this, correct? If there is any cash and cash equivalents, then deduct it. Because if you're buying any company ka shares, guys, if that company has cash, correct? So cash value is fixed, you will not pay. Suppose one company, you're buying one company, that company has 10 lakh rupees cash. If the new company says, I want to take over that cash also, then automatically what will the selling company tell? Cash value is 10 lakh, pay me 10 lakh rupees and take the all the assets, I have no problem. Yes. So cash is irrelevant for the deal, okay? But it's already included as part of our calculation. Yes. Hence, deduct cash and cash equivalent as such, because it does not affect the business deal as such. When you're calculating the assets, similarly, even deferred tax would have been included. DTA and all should be excluded because those are bookish assets as such. Alright, so hence if there's any deferred tax assets, deduct that. Last component, if due to deferred tax liability, if there's any goodwill, correct? If you recognize a liability, obviously you pass the journal entry in business combination. If you recognize any liability, means net assets will reduce. Okay, so obviously that will give rise to goodwill. Yes. So if there is any goodwill which is arising only due to deferred tax liability, deduct that as well. If you do this, then final number what you get is what we call it as fair value of gross assets. This is a simple calculation for fair value of gross assets. Right now we have one problem based on in our material. We'll do that as well just to understand it a little better. I know that looks a little bhari now. Yes. But trust me, once you apply the numbers, you will get to know easily. Okay, just as a recap, what is it? We have to find, for optional concentration test, we require two things. One, fair value of gross assets we require. And how do we find out fair value of gross assets? One, take the consideration paid now. If you have bought any stakes in the company now, okay, you would have paid some consideration. Take the fair value of the consideration. If you had already purchased some stake earlier in the same company, find out the fair value of those existing investment also. If you have not purchased 100%, then NCI will be there already. Yes, take the fair value of NCI also. Okay, this will give you what? All this is towards net assets, correct? No, because shareholders' interest is towards net assets, but we require gross assets. Yes, they've given, you have got, by adding all this, you have got net assets, but we require gross assets. Hence, liabilities, fair value of the liabilities, excluding deferred tax liability, we add back. But to test this gross assets or concentration test, cash, etc. is irrelevant. But cash and deferred tax assets has already been included when you calculated gross assets. Hence, exclude those two as well. And last component, if there is any goodwill due to DTL, okay, due to recognition of liability, yes, goodwill obviously will increase as such. In your journal entry, if you refer, you will be able to get it. Yes. So goodwill due to deferred tax liability, if it is there, reduce that as well. By doing all this calculation, the one final number that what you get is what we call it as fair value of gross assets. This is the first thing you require for concentration test. Second, you have to find out, you have to check this number with assets. Now, what is the next step is, if you want it, if you want it in pointers, we can just call it like this. First, find out, step 1, find out, or let's do a thing, let's just take it up in one illustration only, better it will be, yeah, we'll take up one illustration and then just come, I think it will be a lot easier, yeah, well, this is a question in study material, it's given as an example, let's do that only, it will be easier. Business combination ka concentration test, they've given one example, let's calculate that. Entity A holds 20% interest in entity B. So they already have some existing investment, okay, existing stake. How much is that? 20%. Subsequently, the same entity A acquired further 50%. With 20%, they didn't get control. Earlier, they did not have control. Now they have purchased 50% more. That means earlier they had 20, now they purchased 50 more. That means the total stake is about 70%. Yes, with 70%, can you get control? Very much yes. So they have, entity A has about 70% stake in entity B now. That means non-controlling interest will have about how much? 30%. So entity A further acquires 50% stake in entity B by paying 300 crore. So they paid a consideration of 300 crore to buy this 50% stake. That's the first thing. Alright. Okay. The fair value, actually there's an example, so it is directly given like this. Okay. There are certain assets. Entity B has some assets. They have a building worth 1000 crore. They have cash and cash equivalent worth 200 crore. They have financial liabilities worth 800 crores. This company has a DTL worth 150 crores. They have also given fair value of the entity B is about 40 crore. The total value of the entity B is about 40 crore. Yes. So that means automatically you can find out the fair value of NCI. The worth of the company is 400 crore means NCI has how much percent stake? Just now we wrote. NCI has about 30% stake. That means the fair value of NCI, they have only calculated. How much is it? 400 ka 30%, which is 120 crores. Now, if you remember fair value of gross assets ka calculation, if you want, we can write it here. Just for practice. Fair value of gross assets. This is the first point we require. First we require what? If you remember, one we require fair value of consideration transferred. Fair value of consideration transferred. How much is the consideration? Right now, the company purchased 50% stake. How much did they pay for this 50% stake? They paid about 300 crore. So the fair value of consideration given is about 300 crore. Do we require just this? No. This is towards what? Only 50%. Already this entity A had 20% stake before. So find out the fair value of existing investment also. Same like goodwill calculation till here. No issue. No, I mean no change as such. Fair value of existing investment. Existing investment was 20%. They have given the total fair value of the company. How much is that? Just now they told the fair value of entity B is about how much? Totally 400 crore. How much percentage investment you had before? 20%. So that means 400 crore ka 20% will be how much? 80 crore. Yes. This is towards 50%. This is towards 20%. That means these two number is towards 70% only. But we want it for whole 100%. Hence what do we need to do? 30% is owned by NCI. And you have to find out something known as fair value of NCI also. Fair value of NCI is how much? Total fair value of the entity is 40 crore. NCI owns about 30%. That means the fair value of NCI will be 120 crore. So if you add all this, how much are you going to get? 300 plus 80. 380 plus 20 is about 500 crore. These are all towards shareholders and their entitlement is towards net assets. But are we interested in net assets or do we want gross assets? We want gross assets. I mean, they've given net assets. We have to arrive at gross assets. Means what do we have to do? Liability has already been deducted. Yes. So there's an indirect way of calculating. That's it. Okay. So liability has already been deducted. Hence we add back. Add what? Liabilities assumed or liabilities acquired. Liabilities taken up. Excluding what? Deferred tax liability. If there's any deferred tax liability, that is excluded. Check, do we have any liabilities in the question? Yes, we have financial liabilities worth how much? 800 crore. We also have a deferred tax liability worth 150 crores. Will we take DTL? No, excluding DTL. That means we'll only take financial liability, which is 800 crore. Add this 800 only, no? Yes, 800 crores. Just add up this as well. Alright, then when you are talking about business acquisition, cash doesn't really play a role as such, because what you can control over other companies, assets and liabilities. So cash is irrelevant. Hence they are saying if there is any cash and cash equivalent, deduct that. Because if the company has any cash, you would have obviously pay that much cash to take over. You will not pay any higher. Correct? Yes, that's how it works. Yes, because cash value is fixed as such, right? So if there's any cash equivalent, deduct that. Cash and cash equivalents rather. Does this company have any cash and cash equivalents? Yes, they have 200 crores of cash and cash equivalent. Guys, you need not copy all this. Solution is anyway given. I'm just solving just to strengthen our understanding. I know this is the only problem we are doing. Hence I thought I'll do it fully as such for better understanding. That's it. So then if there's any deferred tax assets, you have to now deduct that as well. Check if in this problem, if do we have any deferred tax assets. Nothing we have. Okay, so this is one. Then minus goodwill, which is arising due to DTL. If it is there, it will be given in the problem. Check if there is any goodwill arising on account of DTL. Anywhere if they have given goodwill arising on account of DTL, no, it's not there. So that means this is also 0. This final number what you get, okay, that's what we call it as fair value of gross assets. Fair value of gross assets. I hope this calculation is okay. So add up all this now, how much it will be? 300, 380, 400, 500, 500 plus 800 is 1300, 1300 minus 200 is 1100 crore. So the fair value of the gross assets acquired is about 1100 crore. Okay. For your understanding, you can think of this as consideration. Okay. Now check whether this is concentrated, meaning if this is equal to single identifiable asset or group of similar identifiable asset. Now come to the question and check how many assets are there in the in this given question. One, the company has building, another they have cash. Only these two are assets available. Okay, building seems to be 1000 crore. Value is huge. Yes, this is 200 crore. Leave this portion. Now let's check the consideration, meaning the fair value of gross assets. Is it more or less equal to building value? What is the building value, sir? What is the building value given in the problem? 1000 crore. Check. What is the percentage of this 1000 crore upon 1100 crore? If you just check the percentage, it will be 1000 crore upon 1100 crore. If you do it into 100, if you do, you're going to get close to 91%. Okay, it's given over here. Alright, 1000 divided by 1100 is about 91%. Meaning 91% of the gross asset is towards one particular asset, which is building. That means majority of the consideration that you are paying, right, is towards building only. So if majority of the consideration is if you're paying towards one particular asset, then is it really, honestly, you touch your heart and tell me, is it really a business acquisition, or is this company really interested only in what? Acquiring the building of another company? Since this percentage is 91%, we can conclude what? Fair value of gross assets. Fair value of gross assets is concentrated. Fair value of gross asset is concentrated. Concentrated meaning more or less equal to, rather you can write, or substantially equal to, you can write. Concentrated means substantially equal to. Equal to what? The value of one asset in this case. Value of one asset. What is the value of what is the name of that asset? Building. The fair value of gross asset is almost equal to value of one asset or value of similar assets. Then we say it is what? concentration test is passed. If concentration test is passed, it is asset acquisition. If it is asset acquisition, or one moment, I'll write off this. Therefore, this is asset acquisition. And if this is asset acquisition, you cannot apply Ind AS 103. That is what they are trying to tell. Now, is this better, sir? That's what they've checked. Given if you want to read the solution, you can just check. See, fair value of gross assets they've acquired is 1100 crore. That's what we also got. Fair value of gross assets for us is 1100 crore. Okay, then they've said in the above scenario, substantially all the fair value of gross assets acquired is concentrated on single identifiable asset. Okay, the value of fair value of gross asset is more or less equal to value of one asset. Which is that one asset? Building. Okay, hence this is an asset acquisition. That means we have to check fair value of gross assets for each asset as sir. No, check if suppose in this question they had 10 buildings. Instead of one building, had they given 10 buildings, then what you would have done? You have to check whether all the 10 buildings have similar characteristics. If all the 10 buildings have similar characteristics, then they'll be treated as group of similar identifiable asset. If you just check our chart, we have written here, check. Here, if you remember, here written, if fair value of gross assets is concentrated on a single identifiable asset or group of similar identifiable assets. Similar identifiable asset means 10 buildings, 10 furniture, 10 plant and machinery, all those assets which have a similar risk and characteristic. If you remember Ind AS 16, we had done revaluation. We had told you, if you are doing revaluation on one asset, entire class of that asset should be revalued. Yes, that one class of asset, they are defining it as group of similar identifiable asset. That one class of asset, they are calling it as group of similar identifiable asset. That class of assets could be building, machinery. Check which asset in the balance sheet has the highest value. Okay, all right, that becomes your group of assets, similar assets. Find fair value of that asset and compare the percentage. If percentage is more or less, meaning more than 90%, then you can say concentration test is passed. If concentration test is passed, then automatically it becomes asset acquisition. That's all is the problem all about. Hope if anyone is just copying, I'll quickly show it. And no need to copy, any which way solution is there. Yes, correct. Easy, no? Not a problem, I believe. So that way you need to just check. Okay, now there are one more pointer you need to just remember about this. Now, next pointer is about what all assets fall under same class, because here they told fair value of gross asset you're going to compare with single identifiable asset or class of similar identifiable asset they told. What and all assets can be considered as similar would be the next question, right? That is what they've defined here. Two tangible assets, those assets which can be seen, touched, felt and all, yes, they are considered. You can consider two tangible assets as a single identifiable asset. Two tangible assets you can treat it as one or single identifiable asset if they cannot be separated without incurring significant cost, like land and building. See, land has unlimited useful life, building has limited useful life. Ideally, the characteristic of land and building are different. That means they belong to different class. Yes. But they are saying if land and building, on land only you will construct building, yes. If they cannot be separated by without incurring significant cost. Suppose you want to separate these two, means you have to demolish the building. To demolish the building, if you are incurring significant cost, then for the test purpose, you can treat land and building as one assets. So if they have given land and building separately, you can collate that and then do the percentage calculation. Okay. So under this section, we are trying to find out what and all assets can be grouped or what and all assets can be considered as one class. Okay, or what and all assets belong to different class. That way also you can understand. Okay, so land and building can be considered as one or single identifiable assets, provided you have to incur significant cost to separate them, if that is the case. Or if the cost is very minimal, means they'll be treated as two separate assets. Okay, and the percentage will be calculated separately on both of them. Second, following assets are not similar, meaning you cannot add them up. One, a tangible asset and intangible asset. Tangible asset like a plant and machinery, can you add with intangible asset like patents, sir? Absolutely no, because they have a different uses and they belong to different classes altogether. So these two you cannot add and find out the percentage. Okay. In our previous example, if they had given 10 buildings, what you would have done? If all the 10 buildings belong to similar class, you will add all the 10 buildings and then calculate percentage. So now we are trying to ascertain what and all assets can you group as or call it a single class of assets. Okay, meaning what and all assets can you club to calculate percentage. These assets they are saying you cannot be clubbed. because they have different characteristics. One is tangible asset, another one is intangible assets. These two cannot come together because they are clearly separate class of assets. You cannot add them up. And different classes of intangible assets, like furniture is there, plant and machinery is there. Does furniture and plant and machinery same, sir? No, their design is different, their usage is different, yes. So you cannot add them up and calculate the percentage. You cannot do that, okay? If they're giving furniture and plant and machinery separately, then you have to calculate percentage on plant and machinery separately, percentage on furniture separately, and accordingly conclude whether the fair value is concentrated on which one. Meaning that percentage you have to calculate and see. If that percentage is more than 90, then we say concentration test is passed, like that. A financial asset and non-financial assets are completely belonging to different class. You cannot add them up again to find out for the purpose of concentration test. And those assets with different risk characteristics. Let's say we have office building. Let's say we have a corporate building, and then we have a factory building. Can you add both for the purpose of concentration test? Absolutely no. Why? Sir, they belong to different class. Office building ka design may be like 15 floors, but factory building, will you construct 15 floors ka factory? No. Yes. So they have different characteristics, different risk. Like what do we mean by risk? Sir, let's say now due to most relevant example, due to COVID, many premises are vacant, khali, yes. So do you think you will be able to find a tenant for residential building or commercial building? Which one do you think you can find the tenant easily for? Most of them would say it's easy to find a tenant for like residential building, correct, than for commercial building, because commercial building ka value will be much higher. Similarly, if you want to sell a commercial building and a residential building, yes, will you sell it at same price? No, the value will be obviously different. You may sell the residential building sooner, but like a commercial building a lot later. Similarly, office building and like factory building have different usages. They have different risk. So if they have different risk, means they belong to different class. Those different class assets cannot be combined for the purpose of calculating the percentage for concentration test. That's what they are saying. All right. The last point is concentration test, which I told is optional. They can be taken on individual basis. Meaning, let's say A Limited purchased some shares in B Limited. Similarly, A Limited also purchased some shares in B. It also purchased some shares in C. Okay. This concentration test, A Limited can apply concentration test individually. Meaning, if they want, A Limited can apply concentration test on B Limited. If they want, they can skip concentration test on C Limited. It can be applied on individual transaction basis. Company totally has the liberty. Totally optional. Whichever way they want to apply, they can apply. On both, if they want, they can apply concentration test. On both, if they want, they can choose not to apply. Or on one they can apply, another one they cannot apply. That way, any permutation combination is workable. That is what they are trying to say in all this. Okay. We don't have too many problems based on this, so I'm not very sure whether numbers will be tested. But as such, I think it is easy only. The main funda or a simple concept of concentration test is what? Check the consideration that you're paying. Is it related to one asset or one class of asset? Meaning, if the 90% of consideration that you're paying, if it is related to one asset or one class of asset, then sorry boss, it is not a business acquisition, it is really an asset acquisition. That is the overall funda of concentration test. But for this, you should not take net assets. They're using the term gross assets. How to calculate gross assets? We have already put up here. Okay. Yes. So this is how we find out the fair value of gross assets and then do the test as such. I think this portion of the chart, I think you must be comfortable by now. That's what I am thinking. I'm not sure. Yeah. All right. So that's one question we took up. Okay. Next. Suppose company took up optional concentration test. A company did conduct concentration test and it failed. Meaning the consideration paid or 90% of consideration paid is not towards any single class of assets. Okay, maybe the percentage is lot lesser than 90. If the percentage is lot lesser than 90, as of now we are saying it is not substantial. Meaning concentration test is failed. So if concentration test is failed, then automatically it will become business acquisition. No. If concentration test is passed, then it is 100% asset acquisition. If concentration test fails, then you'll have to go back to old route. What is old route? Then you have to check input to process output. All right. This is the shortcut. Fair enough. So if concentration test is failed, then you have to do your old assessment of input, process, output. Okay, fair enough. Or another one, company did not take concentration test at all. They had an option because it's optional, right? If concentration test is taken and if it fails, or concentration test is not taken at all, in those two cases, you will have to do further assessment. That further assessment I have given here. Remember? In fact, when I did the previous chart, I told you, here they've used the term substantive process. Now in this chart, we will see when does the process become substantive. That is what they're trying to define here. Fair enough? So just to look at it again, if concentration test fails or if it is not taken, then what you have to do is, what is the next step is, check if the company is having a revenue. Company is having output, meaning if it is generating revenue, if it is having sales, first you need to check. Okay? That company which you acquired, see if it is having any sales. If it is not having sales, if that company what you acquired, which you have acquired stakes in, if it does not have any revenue, then you have to check for two conditions, sir. Alright? First condition is the process. That particular company whom you acquired shares in, they should have a process. That process should be critical to generate the output. Process should be important to generate the output. See, if you're doing any business, process is mandatory. Process means any protocols, rules that you follow. Yes. Now, after CA, some of you might have decided to practice chartered accountancy, correct? You will get into like auditing or any domain. Let's say you got into auditing. Left, right, center, you will do audit. Or you will follow auditing standard ka guidance, accounting standard ka guidance. All this guidance you will follow. Yes. Those are your process. Process nothing but protocol, rules and regulations that you follow. Similarly, if a business has to survive, if a business has to run, means there has to be some process. Yes. Like if you are a calculator manufacturer, the process could be from where to produce the raw material, how much raw material should be inserted into the machinery and to which machinery, for how long, when to store, correct? What and all, from machinery one, where it will go next. Like this, many process will be there. Yes. So that process, if you acquired any company ka shares, any stake in another company, that another company should have a process, and that process should be critical. It should be important to generate the output. Meaning without the process, you cannot generate the output. That is condition number one. Process should be critical. Okay. And two, the inputs that you have acquired. So if you buy any company, right? If you buy stake in another company, obviously you will take over that company ka assets, right? Those assets like machinery, license, trademarks, etc., those we call it as inputs. Even human resource, the people resource that you take over are inputs. Next condition is the inputs that you acquire should include organized or skilled workforce along with other inputs. So you should not just take over that machinery license. Along with taking over those other inputs, you should also take over skilled workforce who can operate that process. Because if you want to do a process, a skilled workforce is a necessity, right? Skilled workforce means those workforce which have a knowledge to run that output or which has the capability to do that process. That's what we call it as skilled workforce. So along with other inputs, you should also take over skilled or organized workforce also. If these two conditions are satisfied, then we say process is substantive. Both the conditions are satisfied, then the process is substantive. If process is substantive, then it becomes business acquisition. Okay, too much theory? Or okay, actually this is important, guys. One, amendments as such are important. Okay, but this, if you just check, look at the chart only, there is a lot of contents. So easily it could be asked for more than 5 marks. I doubt they really test on the numbers, fair value of gross assets and all. Okay, but I feel this portion especially, yeah, could be considered as very important. Easily they can replicate a case for this and ask. Okay, so in my opinion, this is very important. So I hope you have understood. Okay, so if I'll repeat that once just to be sure again, if concentration test is taken and if it fails, or if concentration test is not taken at all, then what to do? First, if that is the case, means first you need to check whether the company is generating output, meaning the company is having revenue. Okay, first you need to check that. If the answer to that is no, the company that you acquired has no revenue, sir, which company is that? Startup, sir. Okay, now the pharma company, many pharma company are in the race to find out the vaccine. Some of them have succeeded, some of them are still trying. Yes, no, correct? Have they already produced vaccines? No, that means are they generating revenue already? No, they are still developing it. Yes, so that means those companies, if you acquire stake in those companies, obviously those companies have not yet generated revenue. So that means no business. No. So just because output is not there, you can't say it is not a business acquisition. If output is not there, check for two conditions. If both the conditions are satisfied, then it is business acquisition. What are those both the two conditions? One, there should be a process. The process should be critical to generate the output. To produce the output, there should be a process. The process should be critical. All right. Two, if you want to run a process, you require inputs for it, right? So you have to take over inputs, not just general inputs like fixed assets, not just general inputs like PPE, intangible assets. You also need to take over skilled workforce capable of doing that process. So inputs include skilled workforce along with other inputs. So process is also there, which is critical. Normal inputs plus like a skilled workforce ka input. If you take over these two, if both are there, if both the conditions are satisfied, then we say process is substantive. If process is substantive, then it becomes a business acquisition. All right. This is the case where company is not generating revenue. Next scenario, there could be a scenario where company could be generating sales already. In that case, what test? All right. In that case also, first condition is same. Process should be there. It should be critical, and the inputs that you acquired should include skilled workforce. In fact, this is the same condition. This condition only is called out here. Okay, but they only call it skilled workforce. Process should be critical, and the inputs acquired should include organized workforce. Either that, okay, or one more condition. Or either this should be satisfied or that should be satisfied. What is this one now? Process is significantly contributes to generate output, meaning process is critical, or process should be critical to generate output, and this word is important, and the process is unique, scarce and hard to replace. Process should be unique, scarce or hard to replace. If one of the two conditions are satisfied, then we say if either one or two is satisfied, then the process is substantive, then it becomes a business acquisition. Okay. If a company, again I'll repeat that, if company is if company is already generating revenue, then what do? First, you need to check. There are two conditions. One or two conditions are either of two conditions is satisfied. Then you can call it as business acquisition. What is condition number one? Process should be there, and that should be critical. And inputs that you take over should include organized workforce. This is condition number one. Process being critical and skilled workforce should be taken over. Okay. Or if this is not satisfied, means check one more. Process is still critical to generate output, and the process should be so unique, scarce or hard to replace without incurring significant cost. So can you give an example of this? Sir, if you just check, when you open your YouTube account, okay, you'll see the recommendations, correct? When you immediately log into YouTube, okay, you'll see some recommendation. Come out of YouTube, again re-log in. Will you see the same recommendation, sir? Or you'll see a different recommendation? You will see different recommendation. How? Because on the back end some algorithm is running. Yes, there is artificial intelligence running. Okay, system is tracking what search you are doing. Like if you want to do a search, I think you must have seen already, just somewhere in Google or something, you search for smartphones. Let's say you wanted to buy a smartphone, you did a Google search. Smartphone, let's say your budget is 30,000. You did a Google search. Best smartphone under 30,000. You did a Google search. Come to Amazon, Flipkart or Facebook. All of a sudden you will see, have you observed this? You will start seeing ads, or you will start seeing pop-ups, correct? Smartphones, best smartphones, like this. Have you seen pop-ups? How is those pop-ups coming in, sir? Those are based on artificial intelligence. Yes. So that's what we mean by processes unique, scarce or hard to replace. Now, let's say you want to open a CA firm. Every firm will have a process. Is it really hard to replace or that unique? Yes, if you want to do a particular company audit, you need to know auditing standards, you need to have a knowledge of accounting standards, company law and all that stuff. If you spend time, you will be able to acquire it. Okay. You decided, no, after becoming chartered accountant, you decided not to open CA firm. You decided I will become competitor to Google. You said I want to open a business like Google. Okay. Can you easily replicate the business of Google, sir? Yes. The moment you type few words, Google automatically fills, correct? Or the autofill part and all. So is that Google ka business easy to replicate? Not that easy. Yes, that's what we mean by that. Even if you have not acquired inputs, not an issue. If you just check the second condition, there is no talk about inputs there. They're only talking about process. Second condition is only about process. Process is critical to generate the output, and the process is so unique or scarce that it is very hard to replace it. Okay, basically without even manpower, the process is so advanced that it can still run. This is true in case of the tech industries. Yes, the processes are way too advanced. Second condition is solely driven by the process. So if either one of the two conditions is satisfied, then we say the process has substantive and it is a business acquisition. Alright. So this is with respect to business combination. I hope it's okay. I don't think so anything else is there. I think there's one question. Hang on. Let's do another question. Okay. There's an example 6 in your new study material. Okay, let's take up this as well. Seller retains some activities and assets. There's a heading given in your study material. I've just incorporated the same. Company S is a manufacturer of wide range of products. Okay. Company's payroll and accounting system is managed as a separate cost center. Is managed as a separate cost center. Okay, no problem. They're done separately. Okay. Supporting all the operating segments and head office function. Okay, fair enough. Company A agrees to acquire trade assets, liabilities and workforce of operating segment of S. So, one company A is taking over some assets and liabilities and workforce. Assets, liabilities and workforce is also taken over of company S. But does not acquire payroll and accounting cost center or any other head office function. So certain functions the new company is taking over, certain functions like payroll and accounting function necessarily they have not taken over. They are trying to ask, and they're saying company A is a competitor of company S. They're trying to ask whether this is an asset acquisition or in reality this is a business acquisition, because certain inputs are not taken over. Alright, just now we learned, yes, for you to call it a business, it has to be inputs, okay, substantive process plus output. Yes, and we also saw if the company we just saw in the previous chart. Now, what do you think here? One input is missed out. That is, payroll team and accounting team is not taken over. But honestly, you tell me, sir, is payroll or accounting team really required to generate output? Is it critical? Is this process critical? Is the payroll process or accounting process critical to generate output? Absolutely no. Yeah, that's what they've written here. The activities and assets within operating segments are being capable of conducting in a manner as a business. So company A accounts for acquisition as business combination. They're saying this as business acquisition. Why? They're saying other activities other than payroll and accounting are critical to generate output. Next line they've given here. Check. The payroll, accounting, cost center and administrative head office functions are not typically used to create outputs, meaning they're not critical processes. Yes. So they generally not considered for assessment. So a process which is not contributing towards output, which is not critical for output generation, that does not have much significance in your assessment. Okay, but all those other critical outputs, if you just check assets, they took over. So one input is taken over. Organized workforce is also taken over. Yes. So like that means critical workforce and all have been taken over already. Yes. Process is critical. If they have not given anything about process critical, so we'll assume that process is critical and inputs acquired. If you remember this, any of those conditions, charts, if you just check, that's what we wrote here. Yes, process is critical. We don't know if the company is not generating revenue. Then what do you check? Process should be critical to generate output, and inputs acquired should include organized still workforce. That's been satisfied because we took over assets also. We took over organized workforce also. Assuming process is critical, then we can say this is substantive, process is substantive and it becomes business acquisition. If suppose company is generating revenue, then same conditions. Even this condition only is satisfied. Process is critical and inputs acquired, organized workforce. This, yes, we don't know whether the process is unique, scarce, they did not comment. We don't know about this. So this condition we cannot comment. But this condition is anyway satisfied. No? Process is critical and inputs acquired include organized workforce. In general, case studies always assume that the process is critical. If it is not, they'll clearly mention as such. Okay. So since this is satisfied, meaning anywhere you check, both are getting satisfied. Hence, you'll treat this as business acquisition. Check for how many marks the case study is and accordingly call out. If it is for more than 5 marks, you'll have to probably call out all the conditions. Okay. Then you have to call out this and then accordingly conclude. Okay. So that is with respect to business combination in days 103, sir. That's it. Alright. So let's do a thing quickly. Like 2 minutes, let's quickly wrap this up. We'll run through whatever we have covered so far. First amendment was with respect to materiality definition. Materiality means Information is said to be material if omitting it, misstating it, or obscuring it could affect the decision-making powers of the primary users of financial statements. One is that. When does the information become obscure? Three reasons. When the language used is unclear or vague. 2, information is scattered throughout the annual report. 3, inappropriately disaggregated. That is 1. 2, business combination. By business combination, two things they brought in. One is the refined definition. They refined the definition of business. Second one, they brought in something known as optional concentration test. Revised definition of business is what? Business is an integrated set of activities and assets which is capable of being conducted in a manner to provide either goods or service to customers, or generating investment income like dividend interest, or generating other income from ordinary activities. Earlier, cost saving was also part of your definition, which has been removed. Earlier, goods or service, that was not there, which they inserted. This is a tweak or the refinement in definition. Another one, elements of business is input, substantive process, plus output or ability to generate output. These three put together becomes the elements of business. Now next we have to talk about concentration test. What is if somebody asks in 1 minute, what is concentration test, what is this all about? Then what will you say? We are trying to find whether, see, when you buy a stake or a control in some company, okay, you have to pay some consideration, correct? That consideration you have to check, is it concentrated, meaning is it equal to one asset or group of similar asset or one class of asset? If the consideration is more or less equal to one asset or one class of asset, that means you're not really interested in other company ka business, you're really interested in other company ka asset. Then why are you breaking your head about Ind AS 103 and all? Treat it as business acquisition. That is what is told in a little sophisticated way. What is that sophisticated way? They're saying to find out concentration test, you require two elements. One, you have to find out the fair value of gross assets. Two, you have to find out the class of assets. Correct? Which all class of assets or which all assets can you add up? That is another pointer you need to break your head on. So how do you calculate fair value of gross assets? One, first you take fair value of consideration transferred. Okay. If you have any initial investment before already, add that. Fair value of existing investment you add. If there's any non-controlling interest, add fair value of non-controlling interest. But these are all from the shareholder's perspective. So equity shareholder entitlement is towards net assets, but we require gross assets. So what do? Any liabilities, what is there? Okay, we have to add back because we have to find out gross assets. So liabilities assumed, add back. Cash, DTA, goodwill arising due to DTL and all are irrelevant for our business assessment test. Hence, but they are already included. Hence, exclude them. Okay, so that final number we call it as fair value of gross assets. Now, next point is what and all assets can you treat as a similar class of assets? One, can you treat land and building as one identifiable asset? Yes, provided if you want to separate land from building, if you have to incur a significant cost, okay, then they'll be treated as one identifiable assets. Then which all assets can you combine, or what and all belongs to the same class of assets? Those assets which have similar characteristics, similar usage, we call it as one class of assets. Meaning, if company has 10 machineries, all the machinery have similar characteristics, means you will add them and call it as one class of assets. But can you add one machinery with building? No, building is separate, machinery is separate. You can't add the two for concentration test because they are different class. Alright, if you want to add, they should be belonging to the same class. So that's what they said there, which all you can't add. What and all the things you can't add? One tangible, one intangible you can't add because they belong to a different class. Okay, under the tangible also you have different class of assets like machinery, building and everything. Can you add machinery with building? No, machinery has different usage, building has different usage. But you have 10 machineries which have similar class, means all the 10 can be added and treated as one class of asset. Okay, but machinery can't be added with furniture or building or land because clearly they have different usage and different risk attached. So you can't add them up. Financial asset and non-financial asset again are completely different. They're different class. You cannot add them up for the purpose of concentration test. Similarly, any asset with different risk characteristics also cannot be added. Example of this could be office building, industrial building, factory building. Again, they have different risk attached to them. So that means they don't belong to one class of assets, but they are different class of assets. So this is how you identify whether what all assets can be added for concentration test assessment purpose. And is this concentration test optional or mandatory? It is optional. Can you apply? Do you need to apply concentration test on all business acquisition? Not necessary. You can apply concentration test on individual basis. On one transaction you can apply, other transaction you can ignore. On both of them you can apply, or both of them you can ignore. Any permutation combination is workable. So this is what they have given under the term business combination Ind AS 103. Okay. Let's take a small break and then we shall resume with the next one. Yeah, thank you.